All right. And I'm just going to open up our Twitch channel. Just to make sure. I still can't. My headphones are connected. I'm being dumb. Hold on.
I hope
now I can hear you. Oh, that's great.
I was gonna say, I hope you can hear me at some point, because I don't know how to fix it.
That's what I was looking for. I was my headphones because I put them in the place that I don't normally put them because I was charging them. So I was like, where are my headphones? Alrighty. So this is really cool. I wish we had a better backdrop, but we don't. So that sucks. But we are now streaming on the Hellenic Herald Twitch channel, so we are live. And yeah. And I'm just gonna go post. We also have a Discord, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put that there. So I named this kind of like the name of the stream is Pagan Paths with Hexy. Is Hexy okay, by the way?
Yeah.
Or Hexy. What do you want me to?
No, Hexy's great.
Awesome.
Actually, Hexy's one of my nicknames. I like it.
Yay. Okay. And if you want to just put in if you want to where people can find you, and I'm gonna let you introduce yourself and just like a little bit about you.
Where do I put in things?
Oh, can you not see the chat?
Yes. Is that where I put it?
Yeah, you just put it in the chat, and that way it'll populate to both the Twitch and the YouTube channel, and just everyone will be able to see it. And my coconut water, my addiction.
I've got my raspberry leaf tea here.
Ooh, that's nice.
It is nice. So it helps with the lady stuff.
Oh, does it? I didn't know that.
Yes, which I really need today.
I did not know that. Because like I have multiple chronic illnesses, like like IBS, and so like I'm always like trying to find anything that can make your life a little bit more bearable.
It really helps a lot.
And special guest.
Whoops. Misspelled TikTok. That's neat.
And so it's really cool, and I love that I met you on TikTok. So that's actually a good place to start. I met Hexy. This side.
Me.
I'm trying to figure out where this side. There you go. This person. Yeah. I saw your stuff on TikTok. And it's really funny because there was like a period of like 2-3 weeks where I was just getting all purple-haired women who were of some sort of non-traditional, like kind of pagan spiritual path. And it was really funny because I was like, is it a purple-haired girl thing? Like, what's going on?
We're just attracted to the occult. It's a purple thing.
I am this close to being like, let's just start like a purple-haired girls code. Like, like the Red Hat Society. Yes. Like, just like that.
Purple hair code.
I love it. And you were participating. You were one of the hosts of a feminine goddess class.
A goddess journey was awesome.
It was super cool, and it was really funny because I was like, I don't know why Hecate has come up a bunch, and so has Persephone. I mean, it's the time of year.
It is.
So, but like, it's come up a lot for me, and so I was like, oh, I totally want to take this class. And you were talking, you were talking about Hecate.
She's my lady.
So then, let me see here. Oh, I just want to get the back end because we do have stuff that they do on the. It's really interesting with this because there's things people can do, like points. I don't know if you watch Twitch or not.
Only Critical Role. That's the only
Okay.
exploration that I've done on Twitch.
Okay. But you're familiar, like people can like follow and they can do things like with points and stuff. So I want to make sure that I see in case someone does something with points.
Groovy.
Huh?
Groovy.
Groovy.
Far out.
So what is did you put in the chat your info?
Yeah.
Did you click enter? Oh, which chat? You put it in the private chat.
Because it's
Wrong
private. That's not gonna work. Really.
I got it. Boom.
Okay. Cool.
So,
thank you.
this is where everyone can find Hexy, and I love your content. And
I have fun.
It's just cool. I love the spiritual stuff, but I also love like the dumb pet stuff too.
Good. Because I do both.
Right? I mean, I have fur babies. They're here. One is sitting like right over there, and the other one is like perusing because I didn't pay attention to her when I walked in. So,
how dare you? How dare you?
I know, right?
The audacity.
I know. So what? Your name is obviously Hexy. Do you go by other names? And I guess like, what is your path? Like, what are your deities that you worship? And then I want to get into like this, like your. I'll also tell my story, but like your story, because I know we talked about that, and I was like, we're gonna stream that.
It's
a journey. It's right.
It's a journey for sure. It's a long journey. I can tell the journey.
Well, I work in the homeschool community, and one of the things that always comes up as a phrase is being a lifelong learner.
I hope so.
I think that's really important. I think the same thing goes with spirituality. Like it's evolving as we evolve, as we learn. So
yeah. One would hope. Like if you're not learning anymore, are you done then? You're like,
yeah, like do you get the graduate of life, just advance to the next level? Like just yeet yourself.
I mean, I feel like that's what graduation is. Graduation is like, peace out,
Oh, see, I dropped out of college, so I'm,
Yeah, I've dropped out of several. So
yeah. We still encourage people to get an education. Go to school, kids.
Go to school. You don't have to graduate from it, but do go at some point.
Yeah.
Try them all. Try
it out, see if it fits. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all kinds of fun stuff to do out there.
So what is your path and your deities and stuff?
Well, I go by Hecate or Hexy. Sometimes when people read Hecate or Hecate, they get confused because you can pronounce it so many different ways. So a lot of people call me Kate or Katie. Especially people who've known me my whole life will still call me Kate and Katie, but a lot of people call me Hexy. And my path, it's, it's been a journey, but the path I'm on right now is one, I just sum it up by saying I'm a witch, but basically what I'm doing is, I'm a reader and a medium. And so that's caused me to seek out guidance and spirit guides. And Hecate came to me. And so I looked to her for guidance. And Persephone's popped up. Demeter has popped up. Baba Yaga has popped up. Cyrano has popped up. He's the only god so far. The rest are goddesses of one kind or another. So that's kind of where I am right now. I listen to my guides. I try to serve the spirits that come and want to chat with whoever my client is. And mostly I'm just trying to develop my intuition, develop my own abilities so that I can serve better. Yeah.
That's awesome. And how long? It really is. It's really interesting because like one day for me, it was really funny because suddenly recently I was like, there's a lot of altars in this house.
Busy.
Like, when did these pop up? I don't remember doing that. I mean, I do remember doing it, but it was just like,
I hope so.
I get migraines. I'm on autopilot a lot of the time. For our stream, my brain was like, oh yeah, we're like 4 p.m. for you, but in my brain was in hi Dino, hello, this is Dino. He's named after Dionysus. You want to be on camera because you're a cute boy with your pretty bow? He's like, no.
They know when they're handsome. They know.
He does know. He knows he's handsome. It was really funny. Like,
Of course he
cat
does.
story was like, he'll do something that he's not supposed to do to get attention, and then he'll look at you and be like, and I'm like, dude, like, stop being cute. I'm still gonna spray you with the water bottle.
Nerd.
I know. But yeah, it is always changing and learning, and you're like, oh, like new different things pop up. So how long have you been, I guess, on your spiritual journey?
I mean, this current stage, or because my whole
like
life
in
I've
general.
been on a spiritual journey, but how long have I been pagan? I've been pagan since 2013. Officially, I guess.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Like, officially is a good one. Like, because
Right.
like I find a lot of people have this like in between stage where they're not like whatever their family is, but they don't know where to go, and that was like a long time for me actually too.
Yeah.
I was very young when I was like, yeah, because my family's Christian. I was like,
Mine too. Very.
Yeah, and it just it was really funny because people always ask me like, oh, like how did you leave? What I was like, I remember sitting down and like praying and being like, okay, God, like I just don't fit. Like it was almost like a breakup. It was like really funny because I was like,
it's
listen,
not you, it's
you.
me.
Yeah. Yes,
It's
exactly.
not you. I just don't, this doesn't fulfill my needs.
This doesn't
Love
jive.
you.
Yeah.
All the love though.
Yeah, all the love. Like, and it's really funny because I think in another stream someone was like, "Oh, like how do you think of it?" Or like I think maybe it was in the Discord. They were like, "How are you thinking? Do you like core like agree with other gods and stuff?" And I was like, "Well, for me, it's like they all live in a cul-de-sac in their own house."
It's kind of like
the
that, isn't it?
Greeks. Here's like the Christians, the Catholics, the Muslims, the Hindu. Here's the Egyptian pantheon. Here's the Norse pantheon. It's like all in their little like frat houses. And I was like,
like you can see them from the other yard, but right, you wave. Like, you just you just don't bring them your extra loaves of bread anymore.
Yeah, you're just like, hey, bye neighbor. And so I was very much in that middle stage for a while where I was going to some stuff with I should say like I had a I don't know stage for a while, and then I moved to California, and then I met a friend of mine, and I started going to like pagan events, most particularly Druid or Wiccan because he was Wiccan. And I was like, it's really weird because I was like, okay, like I definitely feel like this is close, but no cigar. Like it's a step in the right direction, but like this isn't home. And I've always been someone who's like very certain of my decisions, which is an interesting thing that I guess. Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a Taurus thing because, like, I'll say I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I don't know. Now I know. I'm done.
Yep. You're like boom.
Yeah, like once I decide a thing, like I don't waffle about it. I'm just done. Yeah.
Hold on. I was typing for my husband to like open the door for my cat. Let me go let him out. He's decided he doesn't want to be here anymore.
Okay.
Oh, dude. Yeah, so when I found it was actually my husband's idea because he was like, oh, like you always look back at like the Greek like mythology and stuff, like why don't you go looking to see if there's something else better like that fits something with that? And I was like, oh, okay. And then I read this article that it was like, I don't even remember what the article or something was, like it was just like Hellenism, and I was like, and I remember saying the word out loud and being like Hellenism, and just this wash of like home, like it was just, and I'm like, oh, oh, I'm home. Okay, yeah. And it was really interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how is it when you said that Hecate popped up for you and Baba Yaga? How was it? Was there anything similar like that for you? And
Very. I'm really glad that you brought that story up. That's wonderful. That feeling of home. Because when I've had, I don't know what you call them, talents, skills, the sight, whatever, since I was a kid. Um, and my parents were always like, "Oh, you're so imaginative." I'm like, "Oh, okay, it's just my imagination, I guess." But when I would pursue those gifts, when I would pursue them with my energy, go seeking them out mentally in my imagination and in the woodsy places and things, it felt like coming home to like this cozy cottage in the woods where I felt safe and all my stuff was there, and and wonderful, amazing, magical creatures and people would come and visit me, and that's how it felt in my mind.
yeah,
And as I went along my spiritual journey throughout my life as a Catholic, and then as a Mormon, and then um, exploring through that and finding my way out of that, um, I found it felt more like I was on a backpacking trip. I was on a backpacking
yeah,
trip, and there are different rules on the trail, and I was learning this and that and the other thing. And some of it was good, and some of it was restrictive, and some of it made me tired, but some of it was good. But I was tired and I wanted to go back home. I wanted to be home. And when
yeah,
Hecate found me, and when I sort of rediscovered all of these things, because they sort of forced themselves on me. So I had to start actively seeking it out instead of going,
yeah.
"Oh, mythology is lovely. I enjoy reading," because I always have. I've always loved myth. I've always been into various
Yeah,
mythologies and folklore and fairy tales. It's always been my thing. Partly because I'm an artist and an illustrator.
I
But
didn't know
just
that.
it's I'm a storyteller, so I love that stuff. But when Hecate specifically found me, and then when Baba Yaga found me, which I didn't even know she was a goddess, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. Um, I thought she was a fairy tale character, which she also is. But it felt like coming home to where I belonged, where I feel not just comfortable but powerful. Like,
mm,
this is where I belong. This is where I can do all the things that my talents, my skills, the gifts that have been given me are require me to do, where I can do them best. Yeah. Yeah.
that's
It
awesome.
feels good here. It feels comfortable, but it also feels
Yeah,
really, really thrilling.
it is because there's always like new. There's always new ways to try to communicate. I mean, I right now have Greek alpha. Thursdays a lot of the time. I missed it this last one because I just wasn't feeling good. Um, the I have tarot cards, I have mythic oracle cards, I have alphabet stones, and I
Mhm.
still feel like I've had them for a while and I use them. That I'm still learning the different ways to use them. And
Mhm.
then there's like a bunch of other ways to scry. Like I was smoking weed last night. To be honest, and I was looking
Some
at the
people connect
smoke.
through weed.
Well, it was interesting because I was looking at the smoke, and it made me remember how much my mother smoked cigarettes a lot, and I hated the smell of it, but like the smoke was something that I was looking at it. It was because I was high, maybe, I don't know. But I was like, I almost saw like shapes and stuff in it, and I was
Of
like,
course.
right, and I'm like that even now, like after so many years, there's always new deities to at least learn about, even if you're not working with, right? There and that when we learn about other deities or even other pantheons or other like anything we learn, I think makes us look at life a little bit differently. Like it gives you a new perspective.
I mean,
And there's
hopefully,
lots of
yeah.
tools. It's just amazing how much you're like, oh, like even though you're like, oh, I'm home, years later, Hecate is like, psh, like I'm here now, right?
Yeah. 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 Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it would be if you just stuck to one thing. Okay.
hmm
Doctrine of Hexy. But if you just stuck to one thing, it would be like going on a walk in the forest through every season and only looking for moss. Moss is great. I love moss, but like, there are really cool rocks and shit around, and there might be
Oh
an
my
owl
gosh,
or a
yes.
hawk or a deer. Like,
Is
look
this like a
around.
requirement, by the way, for paganism? You suddenly think that rocks are like amazing? Because I just went on a hike like a week or two ago,
Does
and we
anybody
went
not
into
like
this like
rocks? Like, who doesn't like rocks?
I wasn't like a crystals girl, but then like my mother-in-law sent me one in a necklace, and then like I said, went on this hike, and we like it's literally right there. Like I can put in it's just a bag of quartz of rocks,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, why did I bring home like 10 pounds of rocks? Like,
Because they're
in
pretty.
the moment, they are super pretty. They are. Oh, I'll actually grab.
Show me your rocks.
Well, I got these. These are on. I have Hades up there in the corner along with Hermes because this is my work desk. So like these are like really pretty ones. This is the only black one I got. Gray, whatever. And I don't know if I'll be able to see the. Oh yeah, the shiny.
It's beautiful.
And then I got a couple ones that are like this that are like bone white.
Wow.
And they're just yeah, and I mean it's just like I don't know what this one is, but it's just quartz. But it's really funny because we were cleaning them and like all the little flakes were coming off, and it made the towel shiny and stuff.
Cool.
But it's just like, is it like a requirement? Do we suddenly like, okay, like you're pagan now? Here's your sudden urge to collect rocks and shiny things like a crow, like a bird,
Magpie. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Magpies, like shiny things. I'm gonna
Yeah. They're pretty. But they also
I
have
do think
energy in them, and they have
Yeah.
energy that really roots us to who we are because they're earth energies.
Mhm.
And so I think, of course, we're attracted to them because their energies are usually a lot more pure than energy from any other source. Everybody's got energy. Everything has energy. But rocks are just themselves, you know?
Yeah.
They're not complicated. They're just a rock. So their energy feels clean and feels grounding. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's my philosophy that I just came up with just now.
Well, that's exactly one of the things I was thinking about when I was like, we literally went into this like lake that was a little bit dried up because I'm in California, and it was like this whole vein of them, and it was just, and I was talking about it with my boyfriend, and we were saying like how it's amazing because I picked these. I found them. I walked, like you're saying, you walking in the woods and you're just grabbing them.
Yeah.
Hey, Greek Mike. Yeah, so Greek. It took millions of years for a crystal to form. That's a lot of history. It's a lot of years. It's a lot of things that rock has gone through and survived. Is still here. You know.
Yeah.
Although technically we're all just space dust. We're all circle of life. And it moves the sun. Don't get me on Disney.
Oh, I was just listening to some Disney earlier today. So
yes, we're gonna be good friends.
I have this mix that like it's my feelings mix. It gets you in your feels. It makes you feel inspired. And like there's Disney's got some good songs on there. And one of them was Colors of the Wind from Pocahontas.
Of course.
And I love that song, but it also makes me all conflicted because I'm like, the indigenous peoples are suffering and environmentalism. And then I'm like, okay, maybe we can just enjoy the song. Can we enjoy the song for a minute?
Yeah, sometimes a cake is just a cake.
Sometimes the cake is just a cake.
That's a Star Trek reference. I don't know if that's like a very specific Star Trek episode reference.
Which one?
The one with Data. Where he thinks is it going nuts?
Which one with Data?
He thinks he's going nuts because there's like these little I think they're in like another phase or something, creatures, and they're actually destroying the ship, and he's understanding it, but he doesn't consciously understand it. So his system is like back end processes are like, yo, dude, something's fucking wrong, and he keeps having this like really weird dreams. And he's like he has part of his dream is that there's a cake of him, and they're gonna cut into him. And he's like, no. But where they're cutting into him is where one of like these things is like physically on him or on. I can't. It's been a long time. I think it actually may have been Deanna Troy that it was on. I don't remember, but it's been a long time. Anyway, it's a great episode and he's like analyzing at the end because they gave him a cake, and he's like, I wonder what Freud would say about eating oneself. And she's like, Data, Sometimes a cake is just a cake.
Just
like,
kidding.
but
I
also you
haven't watched
mentioned
Star Trek Next
indigenous.
Generation in a long time.
Yeah,
Like,
me neither.
like 20 years, maybe.
I'm less than you. It might be like 8 to 10, but
I
I mean
tried
that's
to
really
introduce
good at
it to my
remembering.
kids, and I chose the wrong episode to try to introduce it to my kids. And yeah,
What
so now they're like,
episode?
I don't think that's appropriate. I'm like, I just chose the wrong episode, guys.
There's so many.
There's so many that are great. This was the wrong episode. It was like the drunk episode. Which
I
is,
remember trying to watch it recently, the first episode, and I was like, the first episode sucks.
yeah. But it's like it sucks in a fun way, you know? Like there are
Well,
plenty
it
of
also
things that
sucks because,
suck in a way that you're like, that's entertaining, you know, but
yeah. Well, they also didn't, like any other show, you got to wait a couple episodes in because they don't know if it's going to take off or not, right? So,
yeah, you know, and I think I've gone too long. Once I had watched Firefly, I'm like,
oh, yeah.
all TV should start off strong, and if it doesn't, I don't feel like watching it. So,
Yeah. It's
and if
hard.
I have to
Anyway,
endure commercials, I'm just not gonna. So,
oh, I don't even have cable anymore.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I
um,
think technically I have it. I just don't use it. I'm like, I mean, I've got Disney Plus and Amazon and Netflix. And Hulu.
we have all
We
of the
don't watch
things, and
that much, so
that actually leads me to another really good thing. But before I do that, I do want to say, because we talked about rocks, and I said I went out and picked up some rocks and took them home. We talked about doing that. Please, just a little disclaimer to put out there: make sure that it is legal for you to take rocks from where you're taking them,
that's important.
because there's national parks and stuff that you really shouldn't.
Mhm.
And I mean, like, I'm sure if you took like one small rock, it wouldn't be that big. But like, I literally brought a 10-pound bag home, so don't do that.
Well, yeah, like also if it's a reservation or something. I mean, I think
Yeah,
that would be
make sure.
obvious, but like that's not your land. Do not be taking the rocks.
Yeah, it's
Which
it's
I
protected
get.
land. Yeah,
I was in
for a
Florida
reason,
a
it's
few years
protected.
ago on the beach, and like I've never seen a beach like this in my life. It's all pebbles, and you think they're sort of gray until you get closer, and they're all of these different colors. They're like green and red and pink and purple and slate and blue, and I'm like, I want to take all the. Oh, it's a reservation. Never mind.
Yeah.
Take all the pictures.
So exactly, take all the pictures. But all that we were talking about, like, where's my brain going? Research. Research is obviously like a big thing. I mean, in anything, again, the whole lifelong or anything. But did you like do any research for any of the deities that you work on any of them before you were like, oh, I'm hello, welcome to my house. Take a seat wherever you like.
Like sort of yes and sort of no, like casually, right? So I've always really been a big fan of mythologies, and like a lot of American kids, I started off on Greek mythology, and then Roman mythology, Norse mythology, Celtic mythology, Egyptian mythology, various kinds of Native American mythology. I'm a big fan of the Paul Goebel Iktomi children's book series about Iktomi the coyote. Really fun. And so I had studied those gods and goddesses throughout my whole life, and creation stories and things like that. And I can tell you the story of my name if you like.
Yes, that's right. That's one of the things that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know, yeah, because of course, like you said, Hecate just kind of like walked in your life and was like, yo, I'm here now.
Like I didn't even know about her before that, which is hilarious.
She's not one of the big gods that like people find out about like early. She's got some roles, as we talked about in the goddess class, in some of the main mythology, but like not a lot of just like, yo, this is the story about Hecate.
Right. Right. Well, and I think that's because, well, I'll tell the story of my name and then I'll tell you what I researched about Hecate, how that happened. So my name at birth, it was Katie, Katie, not Catherine or Kathy or Kathleen, but just Katie. And so growing up in charismatic Christian schools, Catholic school, Catholic just culture, I learned that my name, Katie, came from Catherine and meant purity. or pure. And I was like, okay, that makes sense because, you know, I didn't know the word for this then, but I'm demisexual. So like all my friends in high school are like, yeah, let's get some sexy times. I'm like, I guess. I mean,
I was like,
eh.
it's really funny because I was like, no, thank you. I'm good. I'm just
Right? Like,
like for a
I'm
while
gonna
I
wait
was
till
like,
I'm married. I'm just really not motivated. Yeah, but like you
yeah,
do
and now
you.
I'm like so different. Now I'm like, woo, Dionysus,
But a little
woo,
different now.
Aphrodite,
It's a little
woo,
different now.
Eros. Yeah.
But well, and one of the things I love researching also besides fairy tales, myths, and legends is the meanings and origins of names and of words. And I had been looking for when I came out of my Christian faith, and I was looking to sort of reinvent myself and understand myself and go back to my roots, go to my find my cozy home, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to find a new way of identifying myself. I wanted to understand myself again. So I started researching Catherine to see if more research had been done since the last time I checked, which is like when I was 10 or whatever. And I learned a thing that surprised me, that Catherine came from the Greek Yekaterina, which came from Hecate.
Oh.
Yeah, which, well, a lot of researchers think came from Hecate. They think that Hecate gained different spellings, and where it could have gone either way. It looked a lot like the word katharos, which meant pure, but that didn't become a popular description of the name or meaning of the name Catherine until the 1600s. So followers of Hecate or Hecate herself is actually where the name came from. And I was like, who is this goddess? You know, so that's, and I'm like, goddess of witchcraft in the crossroads. How have I never heard of, like, this is exactly where I'm feeling drawn to. And so I started researching her, and she started popping up in my meditations, and I learned that she predates the Greek pantheon, and
Yeah.
right, and she was trying to remember the area she was most popular in. It's not coming to me. It'll come to me later. Anyways, so she was
It always does, right?
right,
You're
like
the minute you
it'll
get on,
pop
you're
up
like,
when it wants to pop up. She
Yep.
was known as a goddess of the night, the ocean, and the underworld.
Yeah.
At first, and she was also a household goddess. So she was found and is still found, you know, all over Greek households, usually near the hearth as a protector of the home or near the door. As you're going in and out, you would ask for her blessing because she protects the home. She protects
Doesn't she do with
children.
crossroads?
I'm getting to it. So she protects, right. So she protects doorways, right, and pathways, and crossroads are also doorways. You have to make a decision to come or go, to go one way or the other. And because she's also the goddess, or was the goddess of the underworld, she was one of the few goddesses that could go back and forth. And so that's how she became goddess of, I guess, witchcraft, but also of spirits and crossroads, because when you transition from this life into the next life, that's also a pathway. That's also a crossroad. That's a portal. And she can go in between. And we generally do not.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Since I became a medium, lots of times, lots more times than I thought. But yeah, so she was the goddess of all these things. And when the Greek pantheon rose to popularity, they transitioned her in, or attempted to transition her in. And there aren't any legends that are her story. She just sort of infiltrates all these other tales. She just shows up here helping Demeter find Persephone. She shows up here helping Persephone with her new role as queen of the underworld, as Hades' wife. She shows up here in the war between the Titans and the gods, where she slays this giant with her torches. I don't know how that works, but it looks cool on the vessels that I've seen it depicted. She's like,
I love it, just like two torches. Fire.
Yeah, I'm like, that looks cool. I don't know what kind of martial art is that, but it looks neat.
You
And
know what's funny
Zeus.
though? Also, it's interesting because she's not that. I mean, I in my circle she's well known, but like I know that she's not one of like the 12. You know,
She doesn't have stories about
and
her.
it was interesting. I don't know if you seen the game Hades.
Yes, my son
Okay.
loves it, and I suck at playing games, so he just
Oh
likes to
yeah.
have me watch him play games, and I love
I
games.
died a lot. I played a little bit and I died a lot, and I plan to play some more. But she's a fairly prominent deity in the game. Like
Yeah,
you see her most of the time. Like every time you die, you're probably gonna see her.
I didn't
Because
realize you
she's
saw
like
her
in
that
like the
much.
main area, huh?
I didn't realize you saw her that much.
She's been like so you die, you go back, you see your
Oh,
dad
sure.
complaining about you, Hayes is complaining about you, and then you go to like the bar area or to your room so you can go and play the game again. Most of the time Hecate is in this spot, like right when you're past, and so she's of the two deities that you meet during the game a lot.
Yeah, Isaac
That
did.
aren't
My
she's there.
son called me in the first few times that we saw, because he knows who I
Yeah,
who I am connected to and the
yeah.
name that I go by now. So
I think that game, I think it really increased the popularity because they're like, oh, who's this person? So, wait, is
yeah.
Hecate? Yeah, I think that's Hecate there. I haven't played it in like a little while, but I'm pretty sure.
Well, I know Nyx is there a lot as well.
Nyx is there a lot. I remember seeing Hecate a few times, at least. Or I forgot. You know what? I guess we have to play the game. That's what happens. That's what needs to happen. So, but yeah, I think she's risen in popularity over the past 2 years. At least seems to be. Or maybe I'm just running in a tight circle. I don't know.
Well, I never knew about her before, and I started
hmm
following her because she was showing up for me. And then I
Yeah.
started just looking around on the internet to see if anyone else was following her, and I found all of these other people that were really focused on her and had books and practices, and I'm like,
hmm
that's really cool. That's not where I feel like I'm being drawn to, but that's amazing for a goddess
Yeah.
that I didn't even know existed until a few years ago.
That's really cool, and I love that there is so much online right now, especially like sharing information. I don't know if you got a chance on the Helena Carroll website, and I had a lot of work to do. But
Not yet.
there's a whole section for resources and stuff that we try to share, and people have put their own Google Drives together of like documents and resources and things.
Yeah.
I know one of the people who helped me a bunch in creating and setting everything up for Helena Carroll was Rio, and she had a bunch of stuff on Hecate, and I was like, I
Ooh.
didn't even know this existed because she's not in a lot of stories. So
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
really
but
really
there's so
cool.
many temples to her, and there are
Yeah,
niches in every other god's temple for her next to
that's
next
really
to
cool.
the doorway of it. So they're like, yes, you're going to go worship Artemis, but also make sure you say hi to Hecate on the way in. And it's
Yep.
fascinating to me.
What is it? I can't remember. There's like this statue of like the Buddha or something like next to a door. I have to go find it. Where it's like basically people when they like pat the head or something. Maybe it's not Buddha. I can't remember, but I'll have to go find it. Where like if you touch something basically a lot, it wears away. So I can just
Uh-huh.
see like everyone going in and being like, hey, like just like tap tap. I don't know if anyone does. Some people don't touch their altars. I touch mine. I fuck with it all the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
I get mad if someone comes to my house and suddenly starts touching
I don't want
it.
anybody else touching it, but I touch it.
I touch mine exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
My altar. My
yeah.
son has an altar to Poseidon.
Oh,
My older
really?
son. Yeah.
That's
My
awesome.
10-year-old
Actually,
has
my little
created his
brother.
own pantheon. So he just
Hero worship is a new thing. Not that it's a new thing, but it for
revived.
celebrities and for
Oh,
popular characters, it's almost like hero worship. I guess it's icon
I mean, it
worship.
is essentially hero worship.
Yeah. And my little brother got into it too. It was actually really funny, as you say, like we say, like I don't think I had a choice either. I think the gods were just waiting for like light to dawn on Marblehead here, and it was funny because my little brother was like, can gods just claim you? And I was like, yes, they can. And he's like, ah, and I'm just like, I mean, you're not gonna know unless you know. In which case, you're probably at that point gonna be fine with it. But like,
Yeah, I don't think it's like an against your will kind of thing. Like if you
yeah,
choose to accept and investigate and look into it,
yes,
but like it's the same thing with, with the Christian God. And I say this because I really believe that the source of truth and light is well, I call it the universe, but I think the
yeah,
universe is behind everything. And gods and goddesses are their own beings,
mm-hmm.
but I think behind that, they have a different way of viewing life than we
The
do
word,
because
yeah,
they're not human. They're closer to the universe than we are. And so,
yeah, like
and
a 40 or
right,
level
like
versus like
we're
yeah,
we're at a 10 and the universe is 100 and gods and goddesses are more like 60 or something, and
yes, it's
in
over
my meager
9,000.
understanding of things. And so I think that like the universe, they want the connection.
Yeah.
But if we're not ready for that connection,
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to force it because that would be pointless. We have to be
Yeah.
ready for it or else there is no connection. And so I think people can maybe chill out a little bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, my little brother, he's a teenager, so everything's like cranked up to 11.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yes.
it's okay,
That's
like
my
calm
older
down.
son. My older son
Yeah,
is 17. So everything is pretty intense.
and it's really interesting because I'm also very chill on my practice. Like I mean, there's been literally like some days, and it's on this channel, it's on the YouTube channel too. Like it's like we're doing like a ritual thing, and then other days I'm just like,
What up?
hey, what happened, guys? Like what I'm here, or like, hey guys, thank you so much. Like it's just like I'm talking to my peeps, and it's just like, and on some level you go, that's a deity you're talking to. You know that. I'm like, I know they can fry my ass. It's fine.
If
Like,
they thought my ass was worth frying, they would have done it.
exactly. So I love the story of how you got your name or your pen name, and I'm actually curious. Do you go by Hecate or Hexy like IRL as well?
Oh, I'm starting to. Um, but it's more on TikTok and Instagram than anywhere else because um, you know,
People.
I'm kind of a solitary practitioner. So while my friends have heard, my in real life friends have heard
Yeah.
what I'm going by, it takes a little while for them to get used to it. And some of them,
Yeah.
like my sister, just is jumping right in and just calling me that, but she has also legally changed her name over the past few years as well. So,
So
so
she
she's
knows
kind of
where
that vibe.
what that. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that you have like 4 candles on in the background. By the way,
I
I'm just
gotta like
looking.
candles. I've
I
got
love
some
candles.
more like right.
Nice.
Whoop.
Oh, I see the flicker. Nice.
I gotta have candles all the time. I just gotta.
I have cats. I'm terrified with the candles because I have cats.
All of my candles that are lit right now are in glass, so that if
Yeah,
any of my cats were to come into my room,
they probably wouldn't catch themselves on
they
fire.
wouldn't
Yeah.
they wouldn't catch themselves. I mean, Hermes might have a moment of trouble because Hermes is also known as Totoro because he is the biggest, fattest. He's huge. He's massive, and he's not just massive. He's also fluffy. So like his tail is like, it's just this long plume of smoke, and he's so chonk, and he has been known to singe his tail a little bit if you're going.
I love that you use the chonk scale.
He's chonk, like there's like chunky, and then there's chubs, and then there's chunk, and then there's oh lord he coming. So and
Coming
that's where he
oh
is.
lord, he coming. I love it.
He's oh lord he coming. Like you can hear him when he is coming down the hallway. He just bonk. I'm like, oh, that's my cat. And I don't even know if he's a cat. Like, I think he's part Maine Coon and part actual raccoon, because I've seen him like laying by his food dish and he's like picking some food up and feeding himself, or like water. And he does this. And I'm like, bud, you okay? That's not how cats eat. I don't know if you know this. Like, I accept you. I love you. But like,
yes.
if you're going to maraud as a cat, cat it up a little bit more. I don't know.
So that's an interesting topic too, because your cat is named Hermes and mine is, I mean, we call him Dino. That was not me. That was my husband. And his original name is Dionysus. Like, that's his
I heard
on
that.
paper,
Like, you named
on
your
the
cat
vet.
after Dionysus. Okay.
I
Is he
genuinely
drunk?
think Dionysus came into my house as this cat. Like, so there's two stories. Number one, like, there's this question of like, should we name our animals after gods? And I've seen that conversation, and obviously you're of
Depends
the
on the
opinion
god,
of
I
like,
think.
it's fine. I think I agree. You know what? I do agree. I don't think I'd be comfortable naming a cat like Hera. I feel like she would get mad at me.
You want to be super well, although that would kind of go with the cat's personality, depending on the cat. You know, they can be real assholes when they want to be. Not that Hera's an asshole. I'm just saying you have to respect.
She is a firm, strict goddess.
She's got boundaries, serious boundaries, and some cats have serious boundaries. Also, maybe don't name any of your cats Loki. Yes. That's just asking for trouble.
Yes.
Do you want them to chew and rip everything and bring you gifts in the middle of the night that aren't really very dead,
you know,
and then pee on your carpet? Because
in retrospect,
you want ants? That's how you get ants.
The fact that so it's also really funny because he climbs up this chair now. I don't know when he decided to start doing that, but he suddenly did. You can't really see it on screen, which is great. But he climbed up on screen one day while I was on stream with somebody doing our Tarot 101, which is actually really cool. And I would love to have it back when she's getting her master's degree. So like, woo! Cool. Yeah, she's working on that. That's a really, really cool thing. So, but he came in the middle of the screen and I turned and he like hooked me like right on my eyeball. And it was like, I just went like, oh, and I was like, oh shit, there's blood. And I was like, I'm just gonna leave it to you, hon. Like, I just muted myself, whatever, I care. And then she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, my eyeball is bleeding.
Ooh, yeah.
And
how's your eyeball?
It's fine, thank you. I have a little bit of like skin that won't heal, but it's fine. No serious damage.
Good.
But now he is very much not allowed to climb this. But he's like, he runs all over the place and he's like so mischievous. And I'm like, think you get what you just said. And I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, he is named Dionysus, so fair.
You know what's funny? Okay, so I have 3 cats. I have Umbra, my black cat, who she chose me. I actually went looking for a tortoiseshell kitty like 14, 15 years ago. And I saw, this was before the internet was showing great pictures with you on Craigslist. And so I went and looked at the litter, and her definition of tortoiseshell was different than mine. Her definition of tortoiseshell was like gray tabby, and mine's more like tortoiseshell. And and there were all these tortoiseshell kitties, and I sat down and looked at them. You know, I was just being a little disappointed. And this little black kitten came walking in, made a beeline for me, sat down on my lap, curled up, and went to sleep. I was like,
you're my human now. Yep.
I have chosen. So I brought her home. And then we have an orange tabby named Ginny Weasley. And then my big fat gray cat, Hermes, got sort of foisted off on me by my former father-in-law, who had named him Boots. I'm like, I'm not calling him Boots. So I just, I went through a couple different names and decided to call him Hermes. And it wasn't till a couple of years later that I learned that Hecate actually has been known to use Hermes as her consort, as her like her right-hand man. And he's also of the crossroads. And he's not just a messenger god, he's also a bit of a trickster god, which I maybe should have found out before I named him Hermes.
Yes, and god of like merchants and travelers, and I really
and
love
lots
that
of things,
aspect
of course.
I love that they always like cut, like, okay, like someone's having a sick day. Don't worry, I'll cover it. Like, I
got it. Right, because like Hecate also covers children and households and
women.
outcasts. But then
Yep.
like Demeter and Hera and Hestia can also cover a lot of those bases, you know, and
Yep.
Artemis too for childbirth, weirdly enough. But yeah, Hermes actually left me 2 gifts yesterday. He was very generous. He brought one of the gifts into the living room and came yelling for me from the other end of the house.
Come look what I brought, Ma.
At least it was dead, so that's nice. I just felt bad for because it was a snake and it was a pretty snake.
Aw.
Very
That's
dead.
also, isn't that also one of the symbols of Hecate? Yeah.
And Hermes, yeah.
It's amazing that I mean, look, humans will find patterns. That's just our thing, right? Ooh, oh, you have a snake tattoo?
Yeah, it's an Ouroboros.
Oh, that's cool. I'm trying to get both the nerve and the money to get Hermes wings tattoo on my ankles.
That would be sweet.
That would be so cool. And I've tried them out. Here's my life tip. If you have a tattoo that you think you want to get, and you've never gotten a tattoo before, find it as a temporary tattoo and wear it for like a month.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna get the semicolon tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
Trigger warning for everybody. It's an unaliving thing, like you want Survivor. And a friend of mine gave me henna, and I wanted it here on the side of my finger. Because then I was like, then I can like do this, and like, fuck you, universe, I survived.
Yeah.
I thought it was freaking hilarious. Like I was like,
I think that shows a lot of spunk. I like it.
But so then I used the henna and I got it, and I swear that made me so depressed. Like every time I looked at it, I was like, I just remember it's like flashback to like every single one of those moments, and I'm like, oh, I cannot have this tattoo.
It should have come with a trigger warning.
Yeah, it should. But I'm definitely wanting that the Hermes wings tattoos. But it's interesting how, and again, we do find patterns wherever we like want to see them, but how things start showing up or start making sense when you're like, oh, like I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And same as you, I had some instances as a kid that I went, oh, that this makes sense now. Where I was like,
yeah.
I have a really good story. So when I lived in Rhode Island, which was like I think over 10 years ago now, we lived on a property and it had like a 45-degree incline, like that. It was terrible.
Ooh.
And little kitties or childs.
One child. You can come in.
Are they crawling on the floor? Because that's awesome and hilarious. And I love it.
Sam, you can come in. Boo!
Boo! Hello.
She's telling me a story.
Oh, I will continue to tell the story. So we had like a 45-degree incline, and I had to mow the lawn. And it was looking like it was going to start. It was terrible. I know it was a change just so I had unlimited energy and stuff, but it was like awful. It was like backbreaking work.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And it was starting to get cloudy, and I was like, please don't rain, please don't rain, please. I need to finish this. Like, just let me finish this. And I'm like, I used to talk to the wind and stuff a lot, and I was like,
me too.
Please, yeah, exactly. Like, I think I'm gonna have to explore some of those chthonic deities more, and just be like. So I was like, yo, please don't rain, please. And I swear to you, like I did the thing. I ran. I put the lawnmower under the shed, and I literally stepped inside. Some construction or something. Walked inside the house, and like I had just walked in, and it was like pour, and I'm like, whoa. And I was like,
cool.
Thank you. It was one of those moments that was like so vividly ingrained in my head where I was like, oh. And you don't realize it, and you're like, oh, like, is this where I was supposed to be all along and I just didn't know? Like, it's very interesting. And so I did want to ask about, because you did mention Baba Yaga, and most people don't know that. A lot of people don't even know who Baba Yaga is. Nonetheless, I didn't know she was a deity. I knew that, she definitely had some power, some kick-ass power.
Yeah. She's terrifying and fantastically funny.
Really?
Oh, she's hilarious.
I can see that.
She's
anyone
like
who has like a birdhouse. Yeah.
The house on chicken legs.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of personality to it.
Oh yeah, for sure. She's from Russian and Eastern European mythologies, and
Hmm.
Christianity was really really strong in stamping out the original, the pre-Christian religions there, and so there were
Yes.
a lot
Well,
of gods and
history is written by the
goddesses.
victor. So.
Exactly. And so Baba Yaga, though, was one of the surviving deities. She worked her way into mythologies. You really, really have to dig into Russian folklore to try to find the former deities. But Baba Yaga survived through a lot of fairy tales. And she's known as a very chthonic kind of character associated with death, and she has a lot of symbolism in her whole setup. She's a character that's a hag, and she's terrifying and known to be a cannibal, and yet every time she interacts with a protagonist, she's always
Hmm.
very fair. She'll say, I'll help you, but you got to work for it, and it'll look like an
Yeah.
impossible task, but they'll get it done. And she'll say, well, I was going to eat you, but I think I'll give you a gift instead and send you on your way. But she lives in a house that's built on chicken legs. Where did that come from? And a fence surrounding it made of bones topped with skulls that glow in the dark. And then this is one of, this is one of my favorite, like, weird things. She has this very ancient idea that is part of her makeup, along with her bizarre house and the yard and the bones. There will be a white knight on a white horse that'll come by in the morning, and then in the evening one in red, and then at night one all in black. That's just marking the times of the day,
Yeah.
which is really, really, really old. That's a very ancient thing. Why is that associated with a fairy tale creature? It just
Yeah.
kind of gives this really deep sense of roots to her. And of course, I was studying Baba Yaga before she showed up, but just because I always thought she was a fun character, and she's a witch, and
Yeah.
she's got magic. And the way she travels through the woods is not in her chicken leg house. She'll get inside a mortal and pull herself along with a pestle and sweep her tracks up behind her with a broom.
That's interesting.
That seems complicated, but I support that.
You do you. If you want to go in
You
some
do
weird
you,
spice
sister. You do
bathtub.
you. And some people say that she
Especially.
has some of it is like she has iron teeth and she has an eye that'll see in the back of your head, and she's just fascinating. And I read somewhere that I read in a bunch of different places that often in those areas it was the elders that would deal with the dead, because they were so close. They were much closer to death themselves. Death wasn't one of these things that was feared. It was just
Yeah.
dealt with. And so
Yeah.
the elderly also usually knew the people who were deceased. And so they
Yeah.
would be the ones to prepare the body. They would be the ones that would set the body up on these stilts, like a
Hmm.
sky burial often. And the stilts were usually made of tree trunks, and a straight tree trunk can look like a chicken leg because,
Yes.
right? And they would often burn the outside of it to sort of seal it from the weather. So that would very well look like
Yeah.
a
To.
platform on chicken legs. And so I'm wondering if
Yeah.
that's part of where that came from. If the Baba Yaga, because also the word Baba and the word Yaga, nobody really knows exactly where it came from, but it sounds a lot like babushka, a grandmother
Hmm.
or a respected elder. And some people think Yaga means the occult, and some say Yaga means really ugly, and some, like, and it all works, and it's all great because, one of the most terrifying things about a witch is that she does not conform to society. She
To
doesn't give two
society. Yeah.
shits about being beautiful. She's like, I'm ugly, I'm powerful, what's up? No man wants me because I don't want him, and like, no offense against
Yeah.
him, that's fine.
Yeah.
But she didn't have to conform to that. She had her own power. She could
And also
run
I
around the
get
way
that
she
vibe
wants.
from Hecate too. Like she's just
Mhm.
like I am
She
I
never
am
married.
women, hear me roar. Like, I don't
Yeah.
care. I'm gonna do
Hecate
me. Like,
never had a husband. She had children, always by mysterious means, not involving a consort somehow. But yeah, Hecate was the same way. She never took a
look,
husband. She just did her
I
own thing.
adopt people on TikTok, so I'm like, you're
Oh,
my family.
right. Like I have so many adopted nieces and nephews. I love it. I'm just the big witch auntie, and please let me adopt you. I
That's
love you.
exactly when I first saw it. I was like, hey, auntie.
That's what I want. And I also have adopted like all of the children who work in the 2 Starbuckses near my house because
nice.
it's pumpkin spice latte season. And even though I think it tastes like soap after 3 sips, I still need my grande Americano. So
it's interesting. I told this to my partner, and it was, I did not like pumpkin spice. Like, all through college, all growing up, I hated pumpkin spice. I just didn't like it. Which is interesting.
Not for everybody.
It's not, but recently, over the past year, I've started liking it. And I asked the Hellenic Herald has only been around for like less than a year. And there's also someone, I don't get along with my mother. Just do that. My mother's
What? I know what that's like.
I know, right? So I've gone completely no contact with her. Pretty much.
Sometimes
like
it's the best way to go.
It is. It's done. It's really good. But it's interesting because it's after that I liked pumpkin spice. And I read this thing, of course, cloves and cinnamon and all the things in pumpkin spice are all about like no bad energy.
Their
and I was just like,
their healing, their fire.
Yes. And now I like pumpkin spice. I'm like, so I get more involved in my spirituality and cut out toxic people. And now I like pumpkin spice. I don't know.
Because you're vibing with all of that now.
All right. Now it vibes.
Witchcraft. Starbucks is witchcraft.
Oh my gosh. I line my doorways with salt.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
My landlord thinks it's really weird. And I'm like, look, the bugs aren't gonna eat it because it's too much sodium. So like technically it's keeping bugs out. So like whatever.
That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah.
But so, and is that I was interested also. So of course Baba Yaga is a witch and Hecate is the goddess of witchcraft as well as other things. So were you witchy before them or yeah, okay. So I'm curious on that if we have time. Do we still have time? Okay.
How am I doing?
Yeah,
I've got a little bit more time.
So I'd love to know because there are a lot of people in the community, and there is a section of the community regardless of pantheon, but my knowledge is within the Hellenist community that's like we're gonna honor like the traditional stuff. That means no mixing. And I'm like, whatever. Like we mortals get to choose which deities come to us, like
yeah.
But there's also a lot of people I know who are Wiccan or do magic, whether it's a KRC, whatever, or witchcraft, while practicing with another deity or another pantheon. That there's I see a lot of that crossover, and I also see that people are almost like timid to be like, I'm this, and I'm a witch. I'm like, or like they're just like, I don't. And that breaks my heart.
There's still some fear. Yeah, there's still some fear, and especially in the United States, I think Christianity is so dominant.
Yeah.
And if you've been raised Christian, you're very much raised with the idea that certain, even becoming a different kind of Christian will send you to hell, or that it's not allowed, it's taboo. And so I think when you grow up feeling like that, I know for me, when I first diverged from Christianity, I was with Hecate, and I was focusing on Hecate. So when Baba Yaga stepped in, when Demeter and Artemis stepped in, I was like, oh wait, is it okay to be polytheistic? I mean, can I pay attention to all of you? And they were all basically the same response was, oh yes.
Yeah, it's like, oh, she thinks she has a choice.
Right? Do you think you can only like one kind of tree? Like,
exactly.
There's lots of trees. They're all great, so.
Lots of pretty flowers. And it's also, these are also mortal imposed ideologies and rules.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we're not dealing with other mortals at this juncture. Like, this is
No.
a whole new, it's a whole new game
It's a whole new world.
with lots of deities to see. Don't get me. I will totally do a impromptu. Like, I do that
Yeah.
all the
Don't get around my
time,
sister and I. It'll just be karaoke all night long, all the
right?
time.
I did car karaoke with my little brother for Disney, and of course I killed it. But you know,
Naturally. Of course you
yeah,
did.
he was like, I don't know this one. I've never seen this movie, and I'm like, your parents have failed you.
Right?
Like, what are you doing?
I just learned one of my nephews hasn't seen Return of the King. I'm like, okay, that needs to be remedied immediately. Okay.
Yes,
Seriously.
yes. So
So
you were already doing magic, and then it was Hecate.
well, what happened was, so I've been a massage therapist for the past 20 years. And I, when I'm doing massage, it's almost always in a dimly lit room.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes my clients like to be quiet and go to sleep, and sometimes my clients like to chit chat because I feel like it satisfies something in them. Like no one is really listening to them, but I will because what choice do I have? I'm busy rubbing, right?
Yes.
So like they'll just chit chat the whole time, and it's relaxing to them. So I'm an artist, and so I spend a lot of time staring at their body, even though I don't really need to look at their body while I'm working on them because my hands know what they're doing. But as I stare at their body and I see the shapes of and light and dark, I started noticing that I was seeing colors. And I'd always seen colors, but I just stopped paying attention to them, especially when I was Mormon from 19 to 37. I just didn't pay attention.
That's really
And
funny because my best friend also went from Christianity, I think, to being a Mormon,
yeah,
and then she became Wicca or Wiccan, something like that. I can't remember.
something like that,
But
pagan.
it's really interesting that
The
I've heard it from a few
progress.
people. Like we hop paths, we try to find where we belong. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
really
and we belong in different places at different times, don't we? Like the Mormon
true.
church is definitely not the place for me right now, but it did so much for me when I was a kid. It's what I needed. It was the community I needed. It was the guidance I
Mm-hmm.
needed. And it's not what I need now. And it's fine if it's what other people need. Some people really need an organized faith
Yeah.
practice, and that's really not what I need.
Yeah.
So it's fine. But so
Colors. You're seeing colors.
So I was seeing colors, I was seeing auras, and some of my clients, I would talk to them about that. They're like, well, what does it mean? I'm like, well, I don't know. Let me stare at it. And so the more I stare, I'm also an English major and an art major. So I'm all about
Nice.
symbolism, right? So I would start really looking at the colors and like feel my way into it. I'm like, well, I think what I'm picking up on is this. I think that's what these colors mean. And they're like, oh my God, that's so true. I'm like, oh, maybe there's something to it. Maybe I'm not just making it up.
Mm.
So I started looking more into it. And the more into it I started looking, I started seeing visuals. I started seeing what they had been doing that day, or what they had done in their past, or what they had done in their really past, like a past life. Sometimes I see things
Mm-hmm.
they hadn't done yet, like memories that hadn't happened yet, because it's
Mm-hmm.
future memories, and
Yeah.
so that had started happening throughout the years. And then a few years ago, um, one of my clients walked in, and his mother walked in with him, who had been dead for 12 years. And I went, that's different. And I had and I had seen the deceased 2 or 3 times before. All right, 5 or 6 times before, but 2 of those times were in dreams, and the other 2 times it was a very specific circumstance. And I'll get into that some other time maybe. But she walked in with him, and I didn't, and it was, what are you gonna do? And I'm like,
Yeah,
I
you're just
am
like, oh,
rubbing
I
your
guess this is what's
son's
happening.
right.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm rubbing your son's naked ass right now. I don't really feel like this is a great place to communicate. Also, maybe I'm crazy. So finally, but she was staring me down the whole time. So finally I was like, all right, dude. So I told him, how I see auras and stuff? Because we talked about it before. I'd known him for years. He's like,
Yeah.
yes. Is my mother here? And I was like, what? Yeah.
Oh.
Apparently somebody at church, because he's Christian, somebody at church had told him that his mother was going to come to him and comfort him that week. Thanks for the
Aww.
backup, dude. So that's
And
one
that's
thing.
exactly what I mean when I say it's like a cul-de-sac, right? Like it's
It's
like
a
it doesn't.
cul-de-sac, yeah. So
Yeah.
the
Waving hi.
Christian gods were backing me up, and I was like, all right, cool, all right, now I'll pay attention. And she had a lot to say. A lot of what she had to say was in Nigerian tribal language that I don't speak because I'm American and you can tell me and I only speak English. So I had to ask her to translate visually. So she told me visually. There was one word that she kept repeating. So I tried to repeat that to him. I'm like, it sounds like peel off, but without the F. And he went, oh. And he got real quiet and he said, that means I'm very, very sorry.
Aww.
And then she sent this flood of feeling at me. Instead of just visuals, it was also feelings.
Aww.
It was beautiful and really intense. And I'm grateful that she started talking to me. She agreed to start talking to me after I was done working on his ass. So that was, and so after that, it
Time
just,
and a place, time and place for
right.
everything.
Time and place. Yeah. Appropriateness. So after that, it started happening a lot, not just with people's deceased loved ones, but sometimes the loved one was a pet, and so that was
Oh, you're
different.
like, how do I?
It was easier than I thought, like, because
Oh.
I see better than I hear when spirits speak to me.
Mm.
And that's pretty much all a dog has is what they can show you. Like this one client, his doggy wanted to show me all around where he was little. So everything was like from down here, and he also told me about smells, but I don't know how to translate that too well. Like he would smell this thing, which meant there's a mammal in this room, but he can't see the mammal because they had a pet ferret, which I didn't know about. So it was fascinating. So I'm like, okay, if I'm going to serve people with this bizarre talent that I suddenly have, then
Yeah.
I need to get some backup here, and I'd always been fond of witches and I always was very attracted to the idea. And I'm like, this is basically witchy stuff right here. So
Oh yeah.
I took a class in tarot, which turned out to be fantastic. I got in touch with other witches. The woman who taught the tarot class is my mentor. Her name is Brenda Rose Villa. And she does a podcast called Insider's Guide to the Other Side with Julie Reiger. And it's a really fun podcast. And I've been listening to that for a while. I took her class. We're friends. So she's mentored me through a lot of stuff. So I was already really into this,
Hold on, I'm
just
adding
trying
it
to
to my
figure out how to use my
Spotify.
talents, which are straight up just witchy.
Let me share, and we're just gonna boop. There's the Spotify link to the Insider's Guide to the Other Side. That you
Awesome.
mentioned. I like
Yeah.
to plug shit. I like to plug
Shit.
shit.
Plug it.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like that's the whole point of the community.
Yeah. To support. And that's the whole point of being, of being a witch, I guess, of being a light worker is to support people and to help them. That's all tarot reading really is it's like it's life coaching with pictures. But by the way, I'm also a life coach. So my,
Oh, I did not know that.
yeah,
So
my
if
sister
anyone's
owns
looking for a life coach.
my sister owns a life coaching company that she runs out of San Diego, but it's a global company and it's called the Little Volcano. And it does rather specify helping people in the LGBTQ mafia. But it's good for everyone, but it's definitely very specifically geared to the LGBTQ community. And because she's my sister and I do whatever she tells me to, I went through the program and I've been life coached a whole bunch of times and became a life coach. And reading tarot for people turned out to be life coaching with some magic thrown in there.
Right? What's that TikTok? Do I believe that most of witchcraft is spicy psychology? Yes. Do I also think shiny rocks? Yeah. Do I also think shiny rocks are going to make me a little bit happier? Also, yes.
Also, yes, it's one of my favorite videos. It's so true, though. It's true. It's, growing up, I was told like tarot reading is bad. It'll summon the devil. And I like it. No, guys, it's a bunch of.
I feel like it's more like a can on a string kind of thing. Like
it is very much that too,
right? And it's just like we're getting whatever we can.
Well, and just shuffling the cards activates the energy, and I think that getting a tarot reading is also just a moment, an excuse for my client to have a quiet moment, get in touch with their energy, and listen to it themselves. And I'm just there to facilitate that. A lot of people
sometimes it's
don't take that
easier
moment to
when
be quiet.
someone else tells us
Yeah.
what it is we need to hear, even though we know, like we know.
Yeah.
I did that with my therapist last week because I was like anxiety.
Tarot never tells you anything you don't already know.
Yeah, and I was like, and she was like, "I was that. Why are you anxiety with it?" I'm like, because I know the things already. I'm just tired of hearing it.
We're like, I need to hear it differently.
Yeah, I need to hear it another way. Like this, I literally messaged my friend like a day or two ago, and I was like, "Hey, can I have a tarot reading, please?" And I'm just
Which you can hit me up for anytime you like, by the way.
Yes, and there. Do you have a? Let me just copy your stuff again.
The Seer and the Fool.
We have quite a few people in the community. I'm gonna wait. What's the Seer and the Fool? Oh, I see it. I found it. So,
speaking which, I got to get going.
And life coaching. There we go. I didn't do good. But that's awesome. Thank you. And hopefully I'll be able to grab you on to go a little bit sometime later at a later date in like depth of, because I know that we could talk about a bunch of stuff.
So much.
So much. But I did really want to do one where, again, it wasn't just the Victoria show, and like I had someone else who's out there and talking about paths, because there is so many that are like, is it okay to do this? Like, is it like what? And I mean, ultimately, it's like you do you, honey bun. Like you're going to know what's right.
Yeah.
And sometimes people
I think we're not taught to trust ourselves. We're taught to trust someone else's opinion.
That's true. Usually. It's more about the authority figure as opposed to your own intuition. Yeah. And getting back in touch with that is so much harder.
It can be. But it doesn't.
And if anyone has trouble with it, they can contact you for like spiritual life coaching.
I am overjoyed to tell people it's okay. You're right. How do you feel about it? Check in. How do you feel? You feel good? You don't feel good? If you don't feel good, don't do it. If you do feel good, cool. Sit with that. You don't have to rush in. You can just sit with that feeling. It's okay to just sit. You're not going anywhere. The
world will continue.
This is your show. You're the protagonist, you know?
Right? Yes. Yeah. And especially as being fellow purple-haired people, I think that we are the protagonists of our own story.
Absolutely. Purple hair is always the protagonist.
Right? Yeah. I just re-dyed mine yesterday, so it's nice
Me too!
for the video. Awesome! We were both like, we gotta look nice.
That's right. I got like the purple. I tried to leave my silver alone because I love my silver streaks. But like they got a little purple on them anyway. Once I start washing it though, the silver will come out.
Yeah.
So I earned the silver.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Hexy, for joining me. I will catch you back on TikTok.
My pleasure.
Let me just also put in. I don't know that I gave you that link that just popped up. I don't know. Can you see the main chat?
No, I can only see the private chat.
Oh, hold on.
So I'm sorry if anyone was asking questions that I didn't see.
We had a couple comments, but that's fine. And this video is gonna stay up. I'm trying to like copy this link so I can send it to you. But I'll send it to you later. But this will be up on YouTube, and it's gonna be up on Twitch, and I might catch some fun clips from it and like throw them around. So if you would like any, let me know. I can download and send it to you. And then if anyone on the replay has questions, y'all can comment on the comment section on YouTube or in the chat for Twitch. And we'll probably do another stream another time with like about other things.
Yeah.
All right. I'll let you get to the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me. Yay.
You're awesome. I had a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Bye.
Bye.